everybody. Nice Link here, Andrew from the Zelda Hub. And I want to thank everybody last week for tuning in and listening to our roundtable discussion on Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. It was the first time we've done something like that on here, and I got to say it was a massive success, and I couldn't thank all of you enough for tuning in and checking out not just me, but my Zelda Hub cohorts. I know they had a lot of fun, and we'll do more of that here very soon. Possibly thinking right after the launch of the game, perhaps a roundtable review type thing. But this week we're going to continue our ongoing Breath of the Wild voice actor series. In the past, if this is your first time listening, we've had many of the cast of Breath of the Wild on here, including Jamie Mortellaro, the voice of Sidon. We've had Patricia Somerset, who was here last week with us, a very classy lady. We enjoyed having her. And we've had many others as well who've been an absolute blast to talk with. But this week we got one of my favorites in the series. We have Andi Gibson, the voice of Impa. Say hello, Andi.
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to hear you say that she's one of your favorites.
Oh, I love Impa. And also, just a little side note, everybody, before everybody starts making the funny comments. Yes, this is Andi interviewing Andi. So, Andi, tell me about, we've learned so much about how video game voice acting has worked. And one of the things that we've learned, and I find it so fascinating, is when you guys are auditioning, you have absolutely no idea what it is you're auditioning for as far as what game or what character.
No, because they're really, really tight-lipped about, NDA stuff, and they know how virulent the gamer fans are, and if they can find anything out, it's going to be out. It's going to be spread like wildfire, and so they really want to make sure that everything stays as secret as possible. And I think they know us actors can be a little blabby sometimes, so they just don't tell us anything.
Right. And it's something that I think we've brought that up with all of the others. I couldn't imagine, because it's such a different experience than auditioning, say, for an actual movie part. Let's say you're auditioning for the new Star Wars movie. There's a 99.999% chance that you're auditioning for Star Wars. But when you come into this video game, like you said, Nintendo, they're so secretive, very protective. They almost put Disney to shame in how protective they are over their IPs, and rightfully so, because we live in the information age where information travels. Just I don't know if you heard that. Snapping my fingers. It's just, and Patricia last week said something that misinformation and fake news travels faster than real news, so they got to be careful.
Of course, yeah, because it's the rumor mill, right?
Oh yes, and
but
gosh.
Now the is 10 times faster than it used to be.
Oh yeah, and when it comes to Legend of Zelda, I feel like there's new misinformation almost on a weekly basis. I feel like the whole, and forgive me for bringing this up, everyone at home, I've harped on it enough. It seems like every 3 months we get Zelda Netflix series confirmed. This person's going to play Link, and you're like, okay, yeah, you're bullcrap. So when you find out, when you finally get the news given to you that, hey, you're going to be in a Zelda game, and it's going to be a launch title on the Switch, and you're playing one of the major characters in not just the game but the entire series, how do you react to that?
It's funny because usually you don't find out until you are in studio.
Right.
To record. You just know that you booked a video game, and here's your session times and where you're going to go and all that stuff. And I happened to run into Jamie Mortellaro at a Christmas party, and he was like, "Yeah, so excited to be working with you," because he was also the director.
Right.
And I was like, "Yeah, awesome." He's like, "It's huge. It's so exciting." And I was like, "I have no idea." He goes, "Wait, you don't know what it is?" I'm like, "No, I still have no idea what this is." So he was like, "Oh, it's good. It's Legend of Zelda," like keeping it under wraps still. But he's like, "You're scheduled, you're booked and you're already scheduled for your session. You still don't know what it is." So that was pretty cool. And I only had a couple sessions because, she's not as large of a character throughout the game.
Right.
I had, some chunks of dialogue to do, and then that was about it. So the first one, the first one, I didn't get to see her. We were doing more of the storytelling. So I got to see the Guardian. Forgive me if I'm getting the nomenclature wrong. I apologize. But it was really cool. And then the second time I came in and she was just sitting on the screen. And because she's, revamped and the new version, it took me a couple of minutes and then I was like, "Oh, wait, that's me." And I was so excited because I was like, she looks so awesome. And hearing the Japanese actress, because all of that had been done right before the American cast gets in, well, English voice cast. And I was like, man, she's awesome. And she, she is a legit older Japanese woman. So I was like, okay, I've got my work cut out for me here because she sounds fantastic.
Oh yeah, if any of you at home have never heard the Japanese dubs on Breath of the Wild, look them up on YouTube if you can. They're on there. I've listened to them before. They're very, very good. And if you're trying to learn voice acting, take a listen to another language and learn how they express emotion in other languages. It could be very beneficial. One thing I like that they did in this game with Impa is I'm not sure. Before I go there, how familiar are you with the Zelda series?
I'm not very. I kind of stopped with video games back when Tetris was a thing.
Okay, so like the early 90s.
So I've seen a lot of the game. I have not played it. My husband keeps saying, we should get a Switch so we can play it. I'm like, yes, we should. We need to do that.
Definitely.
And we're now looking into the possibility of getting the Mini, which just came out, right? So I don't know. We'll see. It can be a very expensive habit, so I guess I'm a little afraid to start getting into that.
Yeah, expensive habit as I sit here looking around my house at the mounds of video games, toys, collectibles, calendars, posters. I'm like, yeah, I could probably mortgage this house with everything that I've got here 3 times.
I actually had some friends. I knew of Zelda, of course, but I never played it back in the day. And so I had friends that actually guessed what I might be doing before I even knew what it was yet. I was like, oh, I booked a new video game and I'm really excited about it. And they're like, is it the new Zelda? And I was like, I have no idea. Are they making a new Zelda? And so they totally guessed it. And when they saw the very first trailer, even before I did, they recognized my voice somehow. I mean, we're like siblings, we grew up together, so they know my sound, I guess. And they were like, oh my God, my friend Andi Gibson, la la la. And I had to message him, take that down. Nothing's been officially announced. We can't. Don't get me in trouble. But it was so cool because that's how I heard the very first trailer that I opened up. They opened up with Impa giving the little narration.
I remember that trailer.
Yeah.
She's telling the story of the Calamity Ganon, yeah.
Exactly. They're with now Age of Calamity. She's also, they're kind of hearkening back to the previous game, even though now it's the after game, right? We've learned it's going to be a prequel.
This is a prequel. And what's really cool about this, and this has really gotten a lot of people talking in the forums and on social media and everywhere else. Impa is not a little old lady this time. They've gone back to her being a younger woman, and they've flip-flopped that over the years with, because the Legend of Zelda series is unique, as not every game is interconnected with another. They all kind of tell their own story, and they have different timelines, and it's a little bit too convoluted for us to go into here. We'll save that for another day. But there's been different iterations of Impa. She's been an older woman in the past. There's been times where she's been Zelda's pretty much her bodyguard, her basically mother figure in some instances. She's had a lot of different roles over the years. But now we get to take Impa in a completely different direction that we've never done before, where outside of the original Hyrule Warriors that came out a few years ago, she's going to be on the battlefield with Link and Zelda fighting this time. And that's going to be a lot different to see a character that's been... The last time we saw her, as you mentioned, she was kind of more of the narrator.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of fans are excited about that. She's such an iconic character in the series.
Mm-hmm.
And when we all first heard that Breath of the Wild is getting voice acting, it was like there was this moment of, oh wow, really? And then there was just like, oh wait, hold on.
Right.
Because Nintendo, hasn't had the best track record with voice acting in the past. It's not really... I wouldn't say it was really the voice actor's fault. You guys can only do what you're told to do. But like the example I like to bring up, there was a game that came out in the 2000s called Super Mario Sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great game. It's out on the Switch now. Everybody go buy it. It's out for a limited time only. Part of the Super Mario All-Stars collection. And there was some... God bless Leslie Swan. I respect everything she's done for the localization team at Nintendo. She's a great person. But they gave her some of the worst lines possible for Princess Peach. There's this scene where Mario meets up with Bowser Jr. He's the son of King Koopa. And Bowser has basically brainwashed his son into thinking that Princess Peach is his mother.
Okay.
And when Bowser Jr. is confronting Mario, "You stay away from my mama, you bad man," which in and itself is, kind of comical. Here's this little turtle boy thinking this human is his mother. And in Princess Peach, you would say, well, there's no way I can be your mom. You're a turtle. No, they have her say the silliest thing. She just kind of says to herself, "I'm your mama?" And it's like, there's been a million memes over the years. And basically it was so bad that like Nintendo kind of steered away from voice acting for the longest time, despite a lot of critics saying that it was kind of keeping Nintendo, kind of a little bit behind the times. Mm-hmm. We got Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword back in, back in the Wii, when the Wii was a thing. And it was a very cinematic game, very beautifully done. The artwork in the game looks gorgeous. If anybody's never played that game, once again, I highly recommend it. But it was so cinematic, but the thing that was missing, at least from my point of view, was voice acting.
Yeah.
So here we are. We're all coming up to Breath of the Wild, and we're hearing there's going to be voice acting. And we're all kind of nervous but excited at the same time. And we get it. And we start hearing the trailers, hearing the voices. And I remember one of the first ones we heard was the King of Hyrule, and then we heard Impa. And I'm like, yeah, they've got this right. They've done their homework, and they realize what their fans want. And your voice was to me, it's one of the most memorable ones because it was the first one we heard. And in all the years that we've had older Impas, that's the voice for Impa. That you nailed it. That's it.
Thank you. I have a thing for old ladies. I don't know. I think the first time I really got attention for having some kind of legit acting chops, I was about 10 and I was at summer camp, I remember. And you know how you would do like skits and things?
Yeah.
And we had a funny little skit we were going to do, and I was going to be the old lady. So I came out with the whole walk and a whole voice and everything. And I had almost all of the adult counselors at the end be like, "Hey, that was really amazing. You need to do this. Like, you should be an actress." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." Not thinking anything of it because I was just playing, you know what I mean? Just doing my thing. But it's funny how the old lady has come back. I was another old lady in another game, and anytime old ladies come around, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I got old ladies."
That's so awesome. In my yearbook, I've always been someone who's like to make voices and do things like to make people laugh. I was the class clown, and in my high school yearbook, I was voted most likely to become the next Jim Carrey. It's like, alrighty then. Uh, yeah, you really nailed Impa. She added so much, even though she had only really that one little spot in the game. She added a lot to the. She set the tone. She set the story for us, and without her, it's a little bit different. And here we come upon Hyrule Warriors. Like I said, we've got a younger Impa. She's going to have a much different role. And I know we're all excited to see what Nintendo, because we're going to learn. We watched recently this presentation they did on the Nintendo Treehouse, and they talked about, well, we're going to, they didn't, without revealing anything in their adorable little Nintendo way, they told us you're going to, in this game, going to reveal a lot more backstory of all these characters that we know and love, and it's going to be really fun to learn, about, okay, what got Impa to that point of being, there in Kakariko Village, waiting on Link. What got, Pura and Robbie to their points of researching and developing weapons to destroy the Calamity. And that's all going to be a great fun. And you mentioned just now that you have worked on some other games. Why don't you tell us all a little bit more of some of your other projects?
Oh, well, I think the most recent one I did that came out was, oh gosh, let's see if I can even remember all the titles. I might have to pull up my notes here. Oh, The Sinking City was one that I did that was really cool, kind of like a horror game. The graphics were amazing. And I was a character who was kind of a tortured soul. Her name was, it's so funny how you do them and then they disappear.
Oh, I fully understand.
What was it? She had her mouth sewn shut.
Ooh.
And she was a really cool character because we had to kind of figure out, because she had lines, and I was, at first when I realized what the character was, I was like, oh, well, is she going to actually speak words, or is she just going to make sounds? So we played around quite a bit in the in the studio, kind of figuring out, what would she sound like? How would this sound legit if she was trying to talk still? And it was pretty creepy when we finally got it together, and then I saw the finished product. I do have a thing here. Here we go. Excuse me, I pull up my
no
voice.
Problem.
You have to get very Hollywood here.
Darling.
Yeah, but that was one of the last ones I did that was released. And then the old lady one I was talking about, I did 3 games for, it was called Bear With Me, and I did several different characters in those. They did 3 different ones. And I even have, so yeah, Sinking City was Joy Hayden was her name, and that was with Frogwares. And then the Bear With Me ones that was Exordium Games.
Oh, wow.
I also did The Secret of Mana, which was a remake. I did that right after Breath of the Wild. I was the mana tree in that, who was another kind of smaller part, but that one was fun because I don't often get to be, like serious and ethereal because they sound like I'm 10. But I'm a character actress, so I love that kind of stuff. So that was fun. I did Shaq Fu Legend Reborn, which is
Awesome.
on the Switch. So I played all three of the female villains in that. I'm Diamond, and Candy and Yenla Wang, who, if you beat her at the end, you beat the game. So that
Right.
was pretty exciting. That was through Saber Interactive. And we were all excited to have it come out. And then for some reason, there was some mistake somewhere through the line, and I was not in the credits.
Oh
And I was
no.
a big, huge bummer. So I still don't know if they fixed it. But at least a friend who was doing the IMDb credits made sure that was all correct, but that
Good.
was a big bummer.
Hopefully they went through and patched that or something at some
Yeah,
point.
but I'm not sure now. But that's another reason my husband is like, well, you're in more than one game now that is for the Switch, so we should get that and play those. But well, Dead Reckoning was a game. I played Allison Soto. That was on Big Fish Games. And I did some additional voices on Super Lucky's Tale #2, I think it was, for Xbox.
I remember Super Lucky's Tale. It's a good game.
Yeah, I did a lot of the little baby animals where we were all speaking gibberish, ghosts and cats and worms and things. That was a lot of fun. You don't often get gibberish lines, and then we're supposed to make it sound like we're actually saying something. So it's like, here's the line,
Yeah,
and
kind of
you
like
have,
Animal Crossing.
right, and now make it sound like, how are you, or can you help me, or so that was fun because I was already in, and then they sped it up on top of that, so that was a really fun one.
That sounds like a
Um,
blast.
yeah, that
A
was fun, and
question.
that was
They did the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC a few months after the original game came out. There's a character that we see, that we don't actually see this character, but it's implied that it's one of the Sheikah, possibly Impa
mhm.
or Pura younger, taking a picture of the champions and Link and Zelda and everyone, and they give her a line. Is that you?
No, I was not. I was not a part of that one. Everybody else was, but they didn't call me.
I
So,
wonder
and
who that
maybe it's
is.
just because it was one line. I'm sure that they're like, oh, we'll just have someone else do that.
It's very
Which is
possible.
easy. The thing about voice acting is we're all very versatile, right? So if you've just got one line, someone's already in studio, they can just toss that to someone else. But no, I didn't have any part of that game.
Okay, I'll have to look up and see who did that. I never thought to ask any of the others, and just now, like thinking about Breath of the Wild and stuff, for some reason it popped in my head. Because it's just kind of a random. Because everybody else you're used to hearing throughout the entirety of the game, and then all of a sudden, at the very, very, very end, it's when you beat all of the DLC, you get this. Oh, hey, there's another voice here. Who's this?
Right.
But yeah, I have to say that I like your I like that you've worked on Secret of Mana. That's a great, great, great game. I have not finished it. I'm still like halfway through it. I'm a big fan of the Mana series altogether. Um,
Thank you. The remake was not it was not all that well received, and I was a little bummed with that. But, I think possibly because Breath of the Wild was so stunning that then you have another remake and maybe people's expectations were really high.
right.
But I thought it was pretty and cute, and I liked all the imaging and stuff. So, what can we do, right? We get in there, we do our best work, and on to the next.
And it's kind of like a common theme we've spoke with the others about is people's expectations. They're all going to be different. They're
Yeah.
all like myself. I went in with kind of low expectations myself because I prefer to go in that way myself. That way, if something is bad, I'm not let down
Right.
too hard. But a lot of
Yeah.
people's expectations are like completely on the other side of the spectrum. They're so high, they're so big that like they get there and it's like, what can impress you?
Right.
And that can be really hard from your point of view, because it's hard to please everybody.
Of course. And you can't. And that's honestly I think that's the plight of a lot of actors in general, because that's just part of what we do, right? In order to get the job, in order to keep the job, in order to hopefully get the next job in the series or whatever it is, we have to make the client happy. We have to make the director happy. We have to be whatever they need us to be. So it's kind of I think in actors' personal lives, we can fall prey to being people pleasers, which
Right.
can obviously make a person miserable
Oh
because you
God, yeah.
can't
It's
make
something that I've learned myself. I've been doing this.
yeah.
I started off just on social media doing this Zelda stuff, and it's grown so much over the years to YouTube, Twitter, much and other different aspects of the internet. And it's one thing that I've had to learn hard myself. Like, there's no
Yeah.
possible way I can keep everybody happy. And
Yeah, just focus on you. You know what I
right,
mean? As long as you feel like you're doing good work and it's making you happy, that's part of living your passion, as a career, is just believing in yourself and the work that you're putting out, and someone will see it and someone will appreciate it. But you can't try and make everyone there's always going to be critics, and
right.
oftentimes, at least for me, I'm usually the loudest critic. You know what I mean? In our own heads, right? We can be our own worst critic
Oh God,
anyway.
yes.
So I don't know anybody else.
No, have you done any of the like Comic Cons or any of the to get public events that where you get to interact with fans and stuff?
I got to do only one, and I would love to do more. And I kept joking because I was seeing the rest of the cast, flying all over the place and doing these conventions, and
Right.
I was like, "This is ageism. Nobody wants the old lady. This isn't fair." But we did one in Salt Lake City, Utah. It was the Salt Lake City Gaming Convention, and it was the whole cast, and that was a lot of fun. And that was my very first convention ever in life. So I was really excited that my first experience would be as a talent, to be signing autographs and doing panels and stuff. So that was really fun. But that was the only one I've done. So I'm just gonna keep working on booking roles in bigger games so that there's more opportunity for conventions, because that was great to meet people and chat. I'm very
Right.
chatty, so I'm always happy to have FaceTime with folks, and have I still have a little Impa drawing that someone did for me
Oh.
from, because I was like, yeah, there's not, everyone's got beautiful fan art. And I was like, where's the Impa fan art? People don't like the old Impa. They only like the young, pretty Impa. Like, what's
Yeah.
up with that?
Waifu Impa. Yeah, that's kind of what we're getting a bombardment of now. One of the things that we do with the Zelda Hub is we really like to involve the fans, and something we've always done in our 8 years is
Yeah.
feature fan art and cosplay. And over the last
Oh,
couple weeks, when they introduced young Impa in that trailer for Age of Calamity, the mounds of young Impa fan art is just pouring in. And I imagine it's just a matter of time before we start seeing the cosplay.
I'm sure. Yeah. And when I got cast in Breath of the Wild, I started looking into Impa, and all I was finding was the different iterations of young Impa that we
Right.
had seen, up until Breath of the Wild. But yeah, she's really cool looking. And I did see all the talk and stuff on Twitter about the new young Impa and making comparisons to the old Impas. And like, the fans are so full on. It's really cool.
Oh yeah, the Zelda community, like Every little detail they're going to it just immediately. You drop a trailer on us, you drop any kind of info, we're getting out the magnifying glass.
Yeah.
We're going to just comb over every little tiny aspect. It's like we got Dark Helmet comb the desert. We're going to comb the desert, the Gerudo Desert, for any kind of detail. Or what one thing Zelda fans really like is when something calls back to like an older game, even if
Uh-huh.
it's something simple, like you could find something on an article of clothing that could reference something from like Ocarina of Time, and
Right.
we will go nuts for that. We love lore.
Yeah. Well, and it's such a detail-oriented game too, and especially because the franchise has been going on and making games for such a long time. Like if you're going to have diehard fans, it's going to be for the Zelda franchise
Oh
because
yeah.
they had the opportunity to be fans for so many years.
I mean, yeah, it's been around since the mid 1980s. I mean, I grew up with it. I'm 39 years old. I can
Yeah.
remember when the first one came out on the NES, and I first saw it in the old Nintendo Power magazines, and I remember telling my mom,
Yeah.
"We have to get this game. It looks so cool." And I can remember
It's so
friends at school talking about it.
Yeah, it's crazy to look back at the first original games to see like how far it's come
Oh
with the
yeah.
graphic art and the digital amazingness that the artists and the texts and the editors and everything are doing and the music, and it's just so crazy.
I mean, we've went from, yeah. You talk about the music, and I am a big video game music nerd. I
Yeah,
have like a playlist and everything that I listen to regularly, especially
cool.
when I'm like uploading and doing all the technical stuff. I'll throw the music on. But we went from 8-bit music, and now we have fully orchestrated. Just almost like it's almost like you're listening to a concert while you play your game. We're so
Absolutely.
privileged.
Oh yes, it's just stunning.
One of the cool things, and I've been dying to find a reason to give these guys a plug on here for a while. There's something on the internet that you can go to for anybody who likes Zelda music called Radio Hyrule, radiohyrule.com. And
Okay.
24/7 Zelda music. All the well, they have the music from the games on there, but the coolest part is they have music that fans have made, like recreations and redos, and there's like you can even find like heavy metal versions of all your favorite Zelda songs, raps.
Nice.
There's comedy. It's everything you can think of, and it's 24/7. There and it's absolutely the coolest thing. It's been around for like I don't know, maybe about 6 or 7 years now.
Cool.
But yeah, definitely anybody who has not ever checked out Radio Hyrule, give them a listen. You will not be disappointed.
Radio Hyrule, 24/7 mashups and remixes. Freaky, freaky, wow.
I love your voice. You are a very you have a lot of energy to you, and I like that.
Thank you. I can't tell you for how many years I've been called Bubbly. I had a friend years ago who decided my nickname would be Seven Up
Uh,
because he's like bubbly and effervescent, and I was like, okay, I can't be mad at that.
my nickname is a lot weirder. It's it goes back to junior high school. People started calling me Captain America. uh,
Oh, okay.
this started in, of all classes, Spanish class. I was doing a paper. I don't remember what it was that we were exactly doing, but as a joke to myself, I wrote my
Mhm.
name. I remember how you used to write your name and your class and stuff up in the right hand corner? Well, as a joke to myself, I wrote Captain America instead of my name. And I meant to, before I turned my paper in, to erase it and write my name in, and I forgot. So the next day we come in, and she's handing everybody back their papers. And it was a very small class. There was only like maybe 7 or 8 of us. And she saved mine for last. She's like, here's Trina's, here's Kevin's, here's Michael's, here's Matthew's. And oh, hey, here, Captain America. And I'm like, I froze. I'm like, oh, crap. And I got called Captain America throughout all of school because of that. One thing I'd like to ask you, if Nintendo were to say, hey, Andi Gibson, Impa, you did such a great job. We want you to come back and do more. But here's the thing. We want you to choose a character in any of our games. You could choose any Nintendo character. Who would you choose to voice? And why would you choose them?
Oh, gosh.
I have someone in mind.
I think you mentioned Princess Peach, and I think that would be fun because I grew up with Super Mario also. And I did actually play Super Mario when I was, a wee babe. So that would be fun because that was just the cool part about learning I was going to be part of the new version of the Zelda franchise because it was from my childhood days.
Right.
So I think that would be a cool one, to have like some nostalgia and be like, oh my God, I used to play this game,
I think a really good character I could just absolutely hear your voice playing would be Princess Daisy. She's also from the Super Mario series. She debuted in Super Mario Land for the original Game Boy and has been featured prominently over years, mostly in like the Mario Party games and a lot of the Mario sports titles. She kind of looks a little bit like Princess Peach, but she's got reddish brown hair. She wears a yellow dress, and she has a lot more outgoing personality than Peach does. And she's kind of matches your personality quite a bit.
Well, I'll take it.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. I think you'd like her. Now, we got the new game coming out. I know there's not much that we can ask you about that because, once again, Nintendo, hush, hush. Shh, shh. But have you seen any of the trailers?
Yes, I have, and it looks pretty cool. There seems to be a lot more, like, action in the storytelling going on.
Yeah, this is a different type of game than Breath of the Wild, where Breath of the Wild was an open world, part of the main Zelda series. This is Hyrule Warriors. This is a different beast, and they're actually made by a different group of people. This is Koei Tecmo that Nintendo's working with here. They're great. They've made one other Hyrule Warriors game a few years ago, as we mentioned earlier. And it's a different style game. It's kind of a button mashing, 1 versus 1,000. Here you are, this character, and you're going to go just basically destroy an entire army by yourself. It's really fun. I call it the ultimate stress relief. I have just as many hours in the first Hyrule Warriors as I do Breath of the Wild. And it was so much fun, and I don't know if anybody expected. They kind of like shadow dropped, usually because you'll hear rumblings and rumors of games, especially AAA titles. And this came out of nowhere. We were all ready for Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah, exactly.
And
then they dropped this, and everybody's like, what?
Yeah, it's like, whoa, Nintendo. Thank you for 1, and 2, whoa. And, we're finding out.
They decided to not only make it a prequel instead of a sequel, but also change the game format, as it were, from the first one, so that it's much more, fighting and stuff. Right. So it's like, oh my gosh, this is not at all what we were expecting, like in any capacity. So they really kind of surprised everyone, I think.
And I think this format definitely fits the prequel because, as we know, there seems to be a lot going on in the past. A lot of things are going. Calamity Ganon is taking over. The Guardians have been turned against the people of Hyrule, and it makes sense for there to be more action here than where Zelda's like this tranquil, exploration, looking around, trying to find things. That it makes sense for this to be more like, okay, we're going to have battles and wars and scenarios going on that emphasize more on combat. And yeah,
Right.
I'm glad Nintendo did that. It's actually a very creative way of storytelling.
Cool. And I think also they've definitely got their finger on the pulse of like making sure that they're giving their fans stuff to keep them engaged and keep
Yeah,
them interested, so because it seems that they clearly want to keep the franchise going for who knows how long, but now that the graphics and everything are so much more amazing and that Breath of the Wild did so well, I think they want to keep that, keep the ball rolling there. So they're like, well, let's keep everybody on their toes.
right. And it's a good way to keep everybody engaged, and I guess to put it bluntly, to keep everybody's appetite wet until
Mm-hmm.
the big sequel comes out, the big game, Breath of the Wild 2. We don't know
Mm-hmm.
anything at all about that game other than what that little teaser trailer that came out last year during E3. We don't know
Mm-hmm.
what the story is. We don't know what Link and Zelda's going to be doing. We don't know anything about gameplay. So
Right.
this is like hey, Nintendo's like, hey, you know what? It's been a tough year for everybody. It's been a crazy year, and you know what? Let's give our fans something. I almost feel like it's like here's some medicine. It's like, here's some good Zelda medicine. It's going to be a long time before Breath of the Wild 2 gets here, so have this. This will keep you engaged for a while.
Yeah, because they spent a good long time on the first one, and it shows. I mean,
Oh yeah.
just breathtakingly beautiful. So yeah, who knows when a sequel, would actually be coming out. Then they can, if they're working on that still, keep
Oh yeah.
working on that while people are enjoying Age of Calamity. Yeah, they've got, I think they might have a whiz or two in their marketing department. So I'm sure they know what they're doing,
Well, if it's one thing that we all know about Nintendo
right?
is they could market anything.
Yeah.
Have you? It's like the like Spaceballs. You remember Spaceballs?
Yeah, you just read. Did you just recently watch it, or are you just a big fan? Because you referenced it earlier too. We
Yes
just
to
recently
both of
watched
those
it.
things.
Yeah.
It's like you got that one scene where like it's the real money of the movie marketing, and
Yeah.
it's like Spaceballs, the flamethrower,
Yeah.
Spaceballs, the toilet paper, and it's that's Nintendo. That's them to a T. If they can find something to market, they're going to market it. They're gonna have it all over the place on social media. They're so good at that, and it's like, and they were kind of in a downtime before Breath of the Wild came out. The Wii U had not done as good as they thought it would. There was a lot of criticism on the company kind of being behind the times. There wasn't a lot of third-party support for the company at the time either, and they were kind of losing a little bit of money. They had reported a loss in 2016 for like I believe the first time in their company's history. And Breath of the Wild and the Switch come out in 2017,
Okay.
and it turned things around for them. It turned things around for me, and I like to tell this story. I've told this story, I believe, to all the others, and I'd love to share this with you.
Hmm.
In March of 2016, I lost my mom.
Oh, I'm
She
sorry.
had passed away after a very long illness, and just a few months later, in January of 2017, I lost my dad.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it was a very tumultuous time in my life, and I'd been taking care of both of them and
Yeah,
living in their house. And even after they passed away, it was still hard because
of
there I am in
course.
their house, seeing all of their things about, and it was just really hard. So a
Yeah.
friend of mine who is actually the editor of these videos,
Uh-huh.
really good friend of mine, says, I'm going to buy you a Switch and get you Breath of the Wild, um, because you deserve to be happy right now. And
Aw.
I'm telling you what, that game, what it did for me on a personal level, it basically like was the best medicine that I could have had at the time.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love hearing stories like that because so often as a voice actor or just an actor in general, you don't really understand that you're making an impact on people because we're kind of removed from that
Right.
in how we do our work. And so it's so nice to hear those stories. I've had some fans write me emails or letters and um, asking for autographed picture and with for their child with special needs who's got a birthday. And um,
Oh.
if I remember correctly, there was one that he wasn't really verbal, and he had bouts of depression because he couldn't the other kids regularly and things like that, and he stayed in his room and played his games, and it just made him so happy. And we don't think about those things, as we go on about our regular life. So
Right.
thank you for sharing that, and I'm so happy to have been a small part of helping you out of that dark time.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for lending your voice to what is a masterpiece of a game. This is coming from somebody who's like a 30 plus year gamer. Breath of the Wild is my favorite video game of all time. Uh,
Awesome.
yeah, I'd already been a huge Zelda fan. I have a whole room. When you come into my house, there's a room like directly in front of you. It's a converted porch turned into a regular room. It's
Oh,
just
cool.
stock full of Zelda statues, toys, games, just amiibo, just everything you can think of Zelda, posters.
See, another thing. I want an Impa amiibo.
Yes, me too.
Everybody has one. I want an old Impa amiibo. I'm putting that out there in the universe.
Hear us,
Hear us.
Kaiji Inuma, Miyamoto, whoever else in Japan. Hear us. We want an old Impa amiibo.
Yeah, I think it would be so cute.
I would definitely buy one. I have
Yeah.
all of them. And not
How
just the
cool.
Zelda ones. I have all the amiibo.
Have you gone to any conventions to get them signed by the cast?
I would love to. I live in West Virginia, and
Uh-huh.
we don't get a lot. We get like smaller conventions here.
Uh-huh.
And I tried so hard a couple years ago. I told them, I said, contact these people. I can put you in contact with several people myself.
Hmm.
I'm pretty good friends with a couple of them now. Joe and I talk baseball almost once a week.
Go Dodgers.
He's a Dodgers fan too. I'm a Braves
Hey,
fan.
yeah,
And
LA.
the way things are looking, we're getting ready to meet in the next round of the playoffs.
We'll see.
Just
I know it's really, it was bad enough to be, I'm a summer baby. My birthday's at the end of August.
me
So,
too.
fall, oh yeah, what day?
30th.
On the 29th.
Oh, that's so cool.
So yeah, summer was already wah wah because of the pandemic and
Yeah.
not being able to gather, go to the beach and things like that. We've got the Hollywood Bowl out here for outdoor concerts and Shakespeare in the Park and all the fun things you would normally do in summer. And then we can't go to any baseball games either. And we have the issue and the MLB pack. We don't have regular. We do like Apple TV, so you have
Right.
to be one of the regular cable subscribers. And I was so upset for opening night. We had made hot
Oh.
dogs and we had all our Dodger gear on, so ready to set up and watch our game, and we couldn't get it. It was so sad because
And
it was like, hey, a little bit of normalcy in this crazy summer. We can watch some baseball, right?
when they announced that, when they finally made the announcement that baseball would be resuming play, I
Hmm.
cried. I literally I'm like, oh, thank God, finally a little bit of normalcy.
Yeah.
I moved back in January of this
Hmm.
year, and it was kind of a situation where I had to move quick.
Hmm.
And I'm like, you know what? I want to move back into the city here because we got our local minor league baseball team here, the West Virginia Power. They're an affiliate of, oh God, who are they now? They change affiliates so much that I keep forgetting. I think they're with the Mariners now, Seattle.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to move back downtown because I used to work for them. I worked there for 7 years.
Oh, cool.
And 4 years, I'm sorry. Um, and I want to move back down there because I want to see games on a regular basis. You know, minor
Yeah.
league baseball, you go with $10 and enjoy a game, and then get a hot dog
Yeah.
for like $2.
Yeah, man, you can't do that here.
Can't do that here either because
No.
while we got Major League Baseball back, they
Yeah.
totally canceled the minor league baseball season altogether. So
No.
when they come back next year, I'm gonna be like glued to a seat.
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
Let me.
Oh,
I've
good.
always wanted to know this.
Mm.
How much is a Dodger dog?
Oh gosh, let's see. So it seems like the prices go up every time you go to the stadium, like every season, everything's $1 more.
Right.
So, I can't even tell you the last time I bought a Dodger dog because they've gotten all kinds of fancy stuff over there, like bratwurst and things.
Hmm.
But God, I want to say they're at least $5.
One of these days, I have a goal. One of these days, when I'm old and retired, uh, which may not be too much further. I am 1 year from 40 after all. Um, I want to travel the United States, and one of the things I want to do is visit all 30 Major League Baseball parks. And one of the ones on top of my list is Dodger Stadium. All the history that they've had
Yeah.
there, legends that have played in that stadium. The first
Yeah.
World Series I ever watched, when I first started watching baseball, was 1988. Kirk Gibson hitting that legendary home run, and
Mhm.
just that's when I fell in love with baseball. It's like, yeah, this does it for me.
Yeah.
Baseball is definitely a love of mine. It's like one is Zelda, 1A is Star Wars, 1B is baseball. They're tied for number
Yeah.
one.
I always say Kirk Gibson is a jersey that I would always be happy to spend a pretty penny on because it's my name. And I always thought that that was so cool. But yeah, I grew up in that park. My mom is a true blue Dodger fan. She keeps the score. She watches every game. She'll listen on the radio if she can't get the game. She when we would go to games, she wanted to be there 2 or 3 hours early so she could watch them warming up.
Oh
Like
yeah.
she's here, she is ready, and we're the last ones out at the end of the night. So yeah, it's definitely missed games, and she was saying, "Oh, watch, they'll go to the series again because none of us can actually go to any games."
That's ironic
Uh,
because that's how I feel about the Braves. Here we are, no games, and just as we speak, I've got the score on in the background, and they just beat the Miami Marlins to take Game 2 of the
all
NLDS.
right.
I'm dating this video as we speak, um, but yeah, they're like one game away from advancing, and I'm pretty sure the Dodgers are not going to have any problems beating the Padres. So it's kind of cool. The Braves and the
Yeah.
Dodgers, those were the teams that I grew up that got me into baseball. Like I said, Kirk Gibson, and we had the Braves
Uh-huh.
on TBS every day, and
Uh-huh.
it looks like it's going to be great. I'm excited. I'm just glad that we got sports because, goodness, we've had so much taken from us this year.
No.
It's been a hard year for everybody.
Yeah. I really, really hope that we can get over this slump soon and start piecing things back together.
Oh yeah. We gotta figure out a better game plan. That's for sure. But Andy, I want to thank you
Yeah.
for your time on this show.
Hey, you're very welcome. I was very excited to finally connect with you. I'm not sure what happened last time. I'm not the best with checking my social media messages, whatnot. So I'm sorry if I dropped the ball on that last time, but I'm glad we got to do this today. This is a lot of fun, and
Yeah,
I'm excited to
it actually.
going on with this.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I was
Um,
just saying I'm excited to see the new game, and I should finally get out there and get my Switch before
Definitely.
they out again, and I'll be on a 3-month waiting list.
Yeah, it did take us it did take me quite a long time to connect with you. I remember, I believe it was last October. It was like around this time last year, I believe I first messaged you, and you were really busy during that stretch. And then the whole I had to move thing happened, and that kind of put me in a busy mode. Ugh, I hate moving. It's literally my least favorite thing to have to do. Ugh.
Yeah, gosh, it's the worst. I do. I'm, as Virgos, we can like to organize. I know at least that's the type of Virgo I am.
Hmm.
So that's the takeaway that I always get from moving, is that it's a good opportunity to just go through and
Yeah.
purge and organize a bunch of crap that you
That's
don't
my
need
favorite
anymore.
part. Yeah, I like the part where I get everything in my home, new home, and I
Uh-huh.
get to put things where they belong and organize everything. Yeah, I love that part.
Yeah.
That's why this time when I moved, I'm like, I'm gonna find as many people as possible, and they're gonna do it for me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, right. They
anyways,
say you
thank
always know who
you.
your best friends are if they'll help you move.
It was actually a pretty painless move. I had some friends come in. It went a lot more smoothly than the last. When I moved out of my parents' house, that was really bad. I had some people that I didn't know help me. I hired some movers, and they turned out to be kind of dirty and stole some things.
Oh no.
Yeah, they even stole some video games and stuff. I was pretty ticked off about that.
Oh.
But thank you so much once again for your time. This has been an absolute wonderful conversation. You are absolutely fun to talk to.
Oh, thank you so much. This was lovely. You have a good afternoon and rest of your week and weekend. And I look forward to hearing it and sharing it on the social media land.
All right, that sounds great. And everybody, thank you for listening. I want everybody to know that upcoming, we have some fan projects coming up amongst the Zelda Hub members. We're planning once the Age of Calamity drops of doing like a roundtable review discussion thing with me and other members of the group. So be looking forward to that. I don't know if we have anything podcast related coming out next week or not yet, but if you do, just keep checking social media, check the website, and when we come up with some new content, you will be the first to know. Everybody, thanks again for listening. And on behalf of Andi, I want to wish you all a happy Halloween.